through that, we've said for decades that we think the model business is one of the most misunderstood industries in the world. And maybe that's because it's our world, but it's very misunderstood. Welcome to our first ever model business podcast. We're super excited. Model Business by Mother. We're Mother. I'm Mary.
I'm Jeff.
And we are Jeff and Mary Clark. So for those of you that don't know us, we are mother agents in the modeling world. And we've been doing this for almost, for me, 32 years. Together, 28 years. And we've wanted for a long time, we had the thought of, it hasn't been a long time. I'd say in the last year, we started to talk about that we have a lot to say about the modeling business, how it could be better, what our experiences have been, stories to tell. True?
Yeah.
Earlier this year, we were in New York for Fashion Week. Mm-hmm. It was our 34th Fashion Week circuit that we were in New York for. And we ended up getting to the city, getting ready for things to unfold. Long story short, Jeff got the flu, and subsequently I got the flu. And so for 5 days, we were in one of our models, Molly Constable, her amazing loft space in Brooklyn. We were there for 5 days, hunkered down, and it was February and it was cold, and we did Uber Eats and honestly had a lot of long, heartfelt conversations, laughter, everything with Molly. And at the end, before we left, she was like, "These stories are too good. You guys should do a podcast." And for people that know us and have been in our lives for a long time, I had my own podcast called Seek, Find You before, and Mother Mary Monday. I've done this stuff a lot. I'm kind of the chatty one. I'm the one that goes on the news and does the things. But that being said, the rock, the foundation, the person that has really been foundational in building Mother, the careers of our models, has been my awesome husband, Jeff Clark. And you do have a lot to say. We just have different communication styles. I would say that.
Yes.
We're excited because we have had a lot of really great conversations with friends in the industry. We've been blessed to be in a position that we're very connected, even though we've also been removed, and we'll share a little bit more about that. But we've all talked about the industry has changed, the modeling business has changed. And through that, we've said for decades that we think the model business is one of the most misunderstood industries in the world. And maybe that's because it's our world, but it's very misunderstood. People don't know how it really works. Even people that have small local agencies, and they know the local industry, but what we've been focused on for 3 decades is the international part of the business. Or maybe 2 decades.
Probably 2 decades.
Yeah. Because in the beginning, it was much more hobby level. So that's the goal of this podcast. But we thought for the people that don't know us, we want to share our origin story. Plus, I just think it's important for everyone to know, we had a conversation the other day with one of the people that we work with who's a photographer, stylist, that we've mentored a lot. And we had to remind her, we've been doing this longer than you've been alive. And not...
Oh, geez.
Yeah. And so we do have a lot to share. And we do still love it. Right, honey?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, we do. And so that's the intention of it. We've gained a lot of national press through the years, basically for 2 reasons. Number one, we have had significant success globally with almost exclusively fashion editorial models. Most notably, we're known for discovering Ashton Kutcher and Karlie Kloss, but there's been many, many more. who've walked the top runways of the world. We've had over 70 models do that. We've placed over 200 models around the world. And it's just been the two of us working from a home office for many years and in this office for 8 or 9 years. And so it's a very specific part of the industry. So that gained notoriety, but it was also where we were doing it and how we were doing it. First in Iowa, then in Darting, Perry, Missouri, working from our office. At the height of Karlie's career, we were working from an office in our basement in Darting, Perry, and traveling the world. So people wrote about it,
Right.
or people wanted to cover it. The Wall Street Journal did a story on us. Nightline has had us on a couple of times, Entertainment Tonight, all the different things. So how did this all begin? And I want to just take the time really quick to start here, because we are big believers that there are just interests that you will have that are there for a greater purpose. And for me, I'll share a little bit about my origin and where this all started, and then Jeff, and then how we came together, and what insanity ensued after that happened. I grew up, I was a single mom at 19. I went to fashion merchandising school. I worked lots of retail jobs. I feel like I worked at all the stores in the 80s and 90s that were, at the mall. And I fell in love with putting on fashion shows. It started with fashion shows for me, which led to one of my best friends needing hair models for hair shows, which evolved to traveling into different markets in the Midwest, which at that time was a really big deal that we got to go to Minneapolis or Chicago. Or one time we came here for a hair show after I met you. Remember?
Yeah. And that was good timing.
That led to a trip to New York, where I got to take a group of models to a very high-level show there, and went to visit a few agencies, which was such getting a taste of something opens your whole world. So being able to walk into elite models at the height of Cindy Crawford and all of those people, it just seemed like a world away, even though it really wasn't. It opened my eyes to things. And when we went and did a hair show in London, we got to go to Storm Models. I'll never forget it. It was when Kate Moss was a new face. And we were all like, Kate Moss is at this agency, and this woman, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Sarah discovered this iconic model. And I remember all of these girls from Iowa and myself just felt like we were in heaven. From there, through a long series that I won't go into, I ended up taking my daughter to a big convention, a modeling convention. It happened through a mutual friend. That led to them offering me a job to work at this modeling school, essentially what it was. That lasted for about 3 months. And the woman decided to sell, which led me to decide I can do my own thing. I had a little office that was, I don't even know how many square feet. It was probably like 400 square. I don't even know if it was that big. It was like a little office. My mom took me and bought a desk for $50 from the salvage office store. And when I got to upgrade to my next office in the Irvine building, we went to JCPenney, and she put on her JCPenney card 10 black director's chairs, and that became my office. I blew up pictures of models and put it on the wall, and I thought, I've made it. The interesting thing, those young girls that were part of my original models, a lot of them are still in my life today. And it was just foundational. Like, all of it's connected. There's been so many through lines. Anyway, fast forward 1997. I, at this point, was taking models to this model convention. I had I don't even know how many I actually ended up going to before we got together. I feel like it was maybe four times I went, maybe 3 or 4. But by the second or third, I kept having I would win the model of the year. That was like the big thing, that you'd win model of the year. Woo! Which, by the way, I will tell you, all my models of the year went on to do nothing. just FYI. But in January of 97, I was looking at the reality of my life going, I'm going to be a single mom of 3, struggling financially, running a modeling business in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. None of it made sense. I was at a model convention in LA, and once again, the model won model of the year. We were in St. Louis for a 4-hour layover. 4 hours. 4 hours changed both of our lives. So it was a 4-hour layover. I decide I'm going to leave and go to the mall because I didn't want to sit for 4 hours, because honestly, I knew I was going home to a lot of really hard things, potentially finding a new place to live, more than likely either having to close my business. I didn't know what I was doing or going home to. And so rather than just sitting there, I went to Northwest Plaza and scraped money together even for my cab ride. And I walked into what was Express. Right next to Express is the Structure store. And Jeff Clark was a manager there. Structure is what?
Home of the 6-button polo.
Yes, the home of the 6-button polo, in case you're wondering.
Wow.
Whatever happened to all those 6-button polos?
I think we donated them. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, because did we have a lot of them?
Honey, the thing was stacked. I remember all those.
Let's bring it back. Bring back the 6-button polo.
Someone should bring it back. That was a dope polo.
The reason why we would have these lengthy phone calls, because was this before cell phones? I remember.
I think so. No, because
I had a bag phone.
Yeah, there were cell phones, but not like we have today, of course.
Yes.
But I remember my interpretation of what happened.
Yes.
Is I was behind the counter because it was during the holiday rush for returns.
Oh, right.
So managers had to stay behind the counter to, do the manager thing.
Yeah.
And I remember you walking into the store and I was like, I'm going to leave from behind the counter.
He really did leave from behind the counter.
And say, hi, can I help you find a size?
Yeah. So when I looked up, me being never at a loss for words, I remember looking up and being like, it was just different. That's all I know. I couldn't do my normal whatever. And then afterwards, I kept thinking, I think this guy could be a model. And then I came back later and you were gone. Mm-hmm. And I wrote information down because I never had a business card. A month later, I didn't have a business card either, which I'll tell that story in a minute. And we ended up communicating, and I sent him a packet of information because this was before websites. So I sent my little newspaper clippings with articles about what I was doing in Cedar Rapids and newsletters, and said, you should be a model. And you were at a crossroads in your life too. Mm-hmm. So it just ended up. So then that happens in January. In February of 97, I'm sitting in my office. I had this green house on First Avenue in Cedar Rapids that used to be a law firm, but now it was my office. And it was a very gray, gloomy winter day. And I was facing the reality of what my life was going to be and how am I going to keep this business going and all the things. And my assistant at the time, who was like a sister to us and part of our family, April, I said, can you call and see if either Trish and Olivia can pick up the kids, or if they could go to my sister-in-law's. I literally did not want to go home and have them see me in this state. I would say it was the most down, broken, up until that point, anyway, moment of my life. And I literally was just facing, how am I going to keep doing this? And sometimes in a pursuit of a dream, right before, and we've had this in our lives, where you literally want to throw in the towel, something turns around. So I sat in that office. I was like, God, you have to show me if I'm supposed to keep doing this. I remember crying like I'd never cried, and I was just broken. But then all of a sudden, I felt this peace, and it felt very abrupt. I told my therapist at the time, I'd never felt that instant peace before in my life. But I just somehow felt everything was going to be okay. And a week later, the same group of models said, we're going to go out. We're going to go to ladies' night at the airliner. This was in Iowa City. We lived in Cedar Rapids. Iowa City is where the University of Iowa is. We go. It was just supposed to be, we're going to have fun. We're not going to talk about all the hard things that were happening in my life. Divorce, financial, what am I doing with this business? All the things. It was just supposed to be fun. So when we were waiting in line to go in, I see this great looking guy, because it's all glass in the front. Everyone's in line to pay their cover. And I say to the girls, oh, look at that guy. He's so cool looking. And one of the girls knew him, and she was like, oh, that's Chris Kutcher. He, whatever, very dismissive about him. And then I thought, and then they were like, we're just here to have fun anyway. But in my head, I thought, if I see him again, I'm going to go up to him. So I see him later up on the second floor. He's standing at the bar to order. I go up to him and say, have you ever thought about being a model? We end up having a very interesting conversation, because I don't think you can have a conversation with him that isn't interesting. Wouldn't you say that? Yeah. I don't think I've ever in my life had a boring conversation with him. No. He's just a certain kind of guy. And subsequently, that's when Jeff made the decision to really pursue this. We were in preparation mode for this said model convention in July, and this would have been spring. You came to Cedar Rapids for the Fresh Face of Iowa at the mall where I would do all the fashion shows and all the things. And Kutcher won.
He sure did.
And he still has a little bit of an issue about it.
No, I don't have it. No, my issue isn't
I'm teasing.
That. We can tell another story another time what my issue is. But I remember that Fresh Face contest. Because I drove in with one of my friends, and we probably were out like the whole night before. And just kept driving.
You probably were.
But I remember being in the bathroom, and Ashton came in, and he's so an infectious kind of person. Like, yes. You can't just...
He enters the room.
Yeah. So I remember... And then when it was all said and done, he won. And then I was it the third runner-up or second runner-up?
I can't remember.
I don't remember. But in that search alone, it was Ashton, Riley Smith, who turned out to be an actor, and then me and Scott Nevitt. Mm-hmm. And I have a picture, I think, with all of us.
It was.
Yeah, but not at that search, but that was...
It was kind of a magical time. Good for me. Honestly,
you had no idea what's going on, but good for you.
You guys, I had no idea, even at that point, what this could remotely be.
Yeah.
And then when we go so we spend the next months you ended up moving and renting a place. You were renting from Larry Kutcher's dad.
Mm-hmm. Pops, yeah.
Kutcher decides to not continue with school. We've stopped a lot of college educations. And I remember our first computer as a business was we made monthly payments to Larry on Ashton's computer. That became like our office computer.
Yeah.
And a bond, I would say a really special, we were like an unsuspecting group. It was me, Jeff, and Kutcher. At this time, he was still Chris Kutcher. Ashton is his middle name. We made road trips to Chicago. I'll never forget what he had on. Do you remember what he wore when we picked him up?
Was this his sister's pants or something?
We were going to Chicago, and he came out wearing, his sister Tasha had like I feel like it was kind of like satiny, like a pant and a shirt. It was like a set.
Yeah, but I remember we were in Chicago shopping, and this random photographer came up to us.
You're right.
It was like, "Can I take y'all's picture?"
Yes.
Yeah.
And that picture ended up, do you remember?
Did you see it? I don't remember seeing it.
Okay, not that, but then there was another time, because during this very same time, Beth Bolt came, great photographer, came and did a photo shoot with a bunch of people. You were probably there that same weekend. I don't know, but I'll never forget.
No, I was in the pictures.
Okay. Was that the first time?
I don't know. I'm not sure, but she took pictures, and I had the eyeliner and.
Yeah, I think that was Kristen.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know.
Kutcher, there's a picture. We put like a backdrop in front of the office, the greenhouse. I remember it was a white sheet, not a backdrop. It was just a sheet. And he had on, first it was a shirt from Express. We could never get great. All the clothes that we would get were either from Ragstock, a consignment store called City Consignment, Salvation, we called it Salvation Armani. And we'd get stuff from Express because you could, during that time for whatever, those clothes would look like a guy could be wearing them.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
So where am I deviating from? Oh, there was a picture. So the first test that he did was with Beth. And I remember her coming back going, he is a superstar. And there were pictures that we shot in front, some with this black shirt and then some without a shirt. And the sun was setting, like the light was just amazing. His hair was like looking how his hair always looks. And those images ended up popping up later.
Yeah.
We were like in LA going for lunch someplace, I think in West Hollywood, and there were these posters. They had made a thing of that image. And they were like plastered all over. We're like, how did that even happen? But we end up going to the model convention. He wins a bunch of things and gets first runner-up. We just saw a video of Josh Duhamel talking. Yeah, we just saw a thing of Josh Duhamel talking about how this kid from Iowa, Josh was the model of the year, and then Kutcher was first runner-up, which we, of course, were really disappointed. But instantly, the stuff that happened for him, he shot Abercrombie and Fitch campaign. He shot Calvin Klein. We sent him to Europe. I remember getting all of these faxes, a spec with fax machines. And every morning I would come in and there would be faxes from around the world. Somewhere I saved a file of them because it was literally every major agency in the world wanted to represent him. It was literally at the height of, or it felt like the height of the men's business. It was at a time where it was surging and male models were making phenomenal amounts of money. And the long story short is, things were moving fast for him. And he went to Europe, walked in Gucci, Tom Ford.
Yeah, I mean, he walked in a lot of shows, but I think the Gucci one, Tom Ford's Gucci, sticks out because of the interview. We saw an interview on fashion TV.
Yes.
And Tom Ford was talking about this kid from Iowa and all this stuff. But I think we like fast tracked into that.
Yes.
Back to me.
Yes.
I don't forget, but Ashton and I were going for the same thing.
True.
So the beautiful part, and I think you said it before, is that we were all in transition in life at that moment.
We were.
So, you were dealing with your stuff. I was dealing with my stuff, I guess I was a single dad too. A single parent as well. And like meeting you kind of opened up possibilities in my life, the same as it did for his life. But I remember running with him. I remember working out, like all the things to be prepared for this opportunity that was in front of us.
Yeah.
And I remember also being in New York with him. I think that we might have shared a room together.
You did.
Okay. And I remember we were leaving after it was all said and done.
Can I just interrupt you?
Yeah.
It was the first time he'd ever been on a plane.
Kutcher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His first flight was from Iowa to New York for that convention. Yes, go on.
So I remember like he won and he got an agency and the whole thing. Mm-hmm. It was in motion. Mm-hmm. And I never forget, like he was leaving, either I was leaving the room for the last time or he was, and he had a stack of my comp cards.
Oh, I remember that.
And he was like, wherever I go, you go.
Oh,
and I mean, that's stand up. I mean, that's friend, like brother stuff, So
even thinking about that too, when you say that, as I've been kind of trying to slowly put a plan of all the podcasts that we have that we want to do in the future, I was like, we literally could do an entire episode just about him through the years and the experiences that we've had, the friendship, the depth of it has never changed. And we've experienced some really special things. And I think that it says a lot about him as a person.
Maybe he should come on the podcast.
I know. I feel like it would take one podcast to tell our story. Yeah. And then for sure a podcast of us just talking.
Yeah.
It would be cool.
That's cool. So yeah. So.
And it led to, after that, you were like, I don't want to go home. You weren't going to go back.
Yeah. I mean, I stayed in Iowa.
You got the little house.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Because I had, apparently, I mean, now that I'm almost 30 years in this business, I don't think I really had a shot at being a model, but
well, he was just
a bigger guy.
So ripped, but Jeff's like, I always love like in a plane, or our daughter Tiana once had a little car. What was it? It was so cute, that little car. I just remember the broadness of Jeff's shoulders were never going to go down.
No.
That was
even though so I remember too, like having Kutcher and I wore the same size clothes.
That is crazy.
At one point,
I remember
we wore the same size.
Can you
clothes.
Also say how you were eating in order to do that, though? Let's be real.
Right, that's a whole other podcast, but
yeah,
I can't remember.
But what that did for me, and then essentially us, is it opened up my eyes to this is major business. There's a demand for great new faces that can be a part of fashion and entertainment. And I had refined my eye through the mentorship of some great people, and then continued, Tony Perkins being one of them, but then subsequently through all these years, the great advantage that we've had is we've become friends with top casting directors and agency owners and people. And then we've also been able to be backstage over and over and over at the top, literally the top fashion shows in the world. And so it's that access thing that you're around it all. And every single time you're just learning, this is what I'm seeing. This is what we see. I remember in the early days, I would look at a magazine like textbook, wanting to learn the new faces and the faces that I love, the models that were so inspiring to me. We then now have been able to be a part of it. We've been plugged into it and removed from it at the same time, which I think has been the best gift, because we were able to keep our sense of Midwest, parents raising a family, being married. We've had over 20 models live with us to one degree or another, some for huge blocks of time, some for smaller. And we've just been able to learn a lot. And I feel like the lessons that we have, or I know the lessons that we have, I believe are there to help other people, which we've always felt. And really and truly, it's such an example of how, like in that case that you thought, oh, this is going to lead me to this, but it led you to something that was better suited for you.
For me, yeah. I mean, it's I remember you gave me a title.
I did.
What was it? Director?
We said that he was the head of the men's division, which is so funny because we don't have a men's division.
But it was so funny because she
and you
was
had
like
a cute office,
making me so comfortable after I made this decision not to like pursue being a model. But I fell in love with what she was doing. You know, just how one person's life can just literally impact someone else's life in a good way, you know?
Yeah.
I've been a part of that because of my family, you know, growing up, and they had daycares and stuff. So I saw firsthand how one life can impact a group of people.
Yeah.
So we were just doing it, or she was just doing it. You were just doing it in a different way. And that was really cool. I had no idea about, you know, the modeling industry. I mean, I'm sure you can read somewhere that I thought models were Pamela Anderson. You know,
which we got to meet Pamela Anderson.
And I said hi.
You did.
I did. And Dave Chappelle. Or no, Dave, what was his name? Dave LaChapelle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That was, wow.
We got to go to this great party.
That was cool. We'll cut that out.
Why? It's so great. We would always just be like, look at where God takes us.
Yeah.
Really great adventures. So fast forward, we continue going to this model convention. Now you're on the other side as working together. By this time, we realized that we're falling in love. Our friend April had to say, quit not realizing that you guys love each other.
Oh, wait. Kutcher, I remember Kutcher had a hat, and he goes, "You're not pulling the wool over anyone's eye," or something.
You're
I don't know. Like, we thought that we were just like keeping it cool, but
yeah, that nobody knew that we were absolutely head over heels with each other.
Yeah. So here we are.
So we end up going to the model convention in January the next year, 98. And then in the summer of 98, July, we took the biggest group that for us, to this model convention. We had 50 models. And I think a lot of it was because there was so much hype around Ashton in our hometown. By that time, I found him in February of 97. And by January of 98, he got that 70 show. And then by the time word started to spread, there was just a lot of excitement around him. And so things kept growing. We went to the model convention. It had gotten astronomically bigger than ever. We were very upset that we had brought this large group, and literally there were so many contestants, there was overflow into another ballroom, and this ballroom is massive. So they just weren't given a fair opportunity, and we had taken a lot of time to really prepare this group of models and talent. So in classic the form, they had this big directors meeting, and I stood up to say, this is upsetting. This has just become this volume-driven monster. I remember my voice was shaking, which that never happens when I'm up in front of a group, but I felt it so passionately. And so that afternoon or evening, we sat with all of our models and we said, we're going to go back to Iowa and we're going to do an event and it's going to be great. And agents will come, and we want to make sure that you get the best shot possible. And then we left. I remember Jeff and April looking at me afterwards going, how are we going to do that? But we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. I think it was, I can't remember if it was 99 or 2000. Somewhere I have the old invitation. Remember how proud we were of that invitation?
I mean, you designed it, and the woman won an award.
Yes, she
design
did
award. Just because
did.
It was during the time where you had to have a designer, graphic designer, do the stuff for
I
you.
laid it all out, and then she basically did it.
Yeah.
But we ended up doing this event in Cedar Rapids. The weekend that it happened, there was a tornado. So everyone flying in were massively delayed. And we had, I feel like there was 30 agents or something. There were so many. And a lot of them were the flight from New York to Cedar Rapids with all the delays, because you couldn't have a direct flight. There was no such thing. They were I could have flown to Paris, but I'm here. And it kind of set the tone moving forward. I think that we had this reputation for finding great models, for developing them, but beyond that, for doing it our own way. Mm-hmm. And we just continued on that path.
Yeah. I mean, I think our development over the years got stronger because of the exposure that we have,
For sure.
So, I mean, it's a unique thing, and so that's cool.
And through the years too, we've continued that it's so much great. It's so much more than runway practice and photo movement. It's mindset, it's skill set. We've created a community and a culture. The community that Mother is extremely supportive and nurturing. It just keeps growing. Now I've been doing some mentoring with some other agents, one in Australia and one in Puerto Rico. And I think we just keep raising the bar on ourselves and thinking, how can we have a greater impact? And this podcast is part of that whole mission to share more about it. So from there, we leave the convention. We're no longer doing that. We have our own thing. We're okay, we should potentially, we started to talk about, should we stay in Iowa? Should we go somewhere else? We scouted a girl at a club called Velvet. Her name was Priscilla. Mm-hmm. One weekend when we were here, and we end up inviting her to be in one of our events because we're she's so beautiful, very interesting. And we place her. She stayed with us for a little bit in Iowa, and then we placed her in New York with, I can't remember what agency that was.
I can't remember the name
but
of
we
the
placed her with the agency in New York. We come back to see her the night before she's supposed to fly out, because we just wanted to be here to be you did it.
She had a meeting, her agent in New York, I remember, had a meeting. The reason she was going right then is because she was going to go meet with Vogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I just got goosebumps. I forgot.
So I remember coming, and then we weren't able to meet her that night. for whatever reason.
We got in later than we expected. And by that time, she was out.
She was out.
She was out with friends. And we were like, you know what? It's okay. We'll just, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk when you get back or whatever. Like, we were communicating with her. And then that morning, I remember we got up. We were going to the Galleria. We were going to the mall. I remember exactly where we were when we got the phone call, because I answered and it was the NYPD. It was the New York Police Department, which you're like, what? And they were like, do you know Priscilla? We're like, yeah, she's our model. She's, she was just flying to New York. And he was like, she had some health issue on the flight. You were the contact. I don't know if it was on a paper. I don't even know how that happened. And so we go back to Jeff's mom's house and Kitty's house, sitting and waiting to find out what's going on. And then we get the phone call that she, on the flight, passed away. Her heart stopped. And when they went to tell her to wake her to put on her seatbelt, I guess, or adjust her her seat, they realized that she was not breathing and had died. And she was a single mom. And we end up staying in St. Louis for 4 or 5 days. They're waiting. We had to then be the point contact of, we didn't know her parents. She was an adult, so she was in her early 20s. So we didn't have any family contact. And the long story short, it was one of those times where you sit and go, life is fleeting. You just never know. About 6 months previous to this, we had a guy, Todd Little, a guy who walked in that first model convention, or the first model event that we did, the Genesis event, or we called it Quest. That first time that we had agents fly into Iowa, and Kutcher came back for it. And it was a really big deal that he was there. And I think that was 2000.
That sounds about right.
Because he had already, that 70 show had aired, or maybe 99. Anyway, whatever. Todd looked up to him so much. And I remember Kutcher talking to Todd, and that it was just this big moment for him. Todd came from a very hardworking family, and he wasn't able to pay the fee. We had a very minimal, I think it was $500 or something, to be in this showcase. And Todd did all the trade. I remember he painted our stairs. He was just this great kid. I think he was the homecoming king of their high school. He was amazing. His parents I feel like they worked at Hy-Vee at the grocery store or something. And when we were in Iowa City planning the event that we were doing in Iowa City, and our wedding, we got the phone call that while he was at track practice running, he collapsed and died, and had an enlarged heart or a hole in his heart or something that nobody knew about. And it was fully natural causes, died at track practice. So in a short, condensed period of time, we had 2 models pass young, way before their time. And I remember sitting in St. Louis on the steps of your mom and Kitty's house, sitting there going, well, first of all, it was really nice out. And I remember back in Iowa at the time, it was freezing. I was like, well, this is nice. I like the weather better. But also just like, what are we going to do moving forward? And what is our life about? Which we're kind of at that same point right now. And at that point, I remember us going, let's move to St. Louis. That's when we decided.
Yeah.
When we were waiting for Priscilla, then we stayed. We met her family. And can I add the crazy side note? Because this stuff happens in our life all the time.
I don't know what the side note is.
Like 10 years ago,
Oh, yeah.
we get a phone call from a person,
Yeah.
a girl or a mom or somebody saying, I just scouted, this girl was at a park and somebody, we don't even know who it was, came up to her and said, it was a guy, you should be a model. I'm friends with Jeff and Mary Clark, gave them the number and said, you should reach out to them. And we end up meeting the girl at a Starbucks, and it's her and her mother or her grandmother or something, or a different relative. And we find out within the process of sitting with this girl that she was Priscilla's daughter.
Crazy.
And the daughter never knew our name. She just knew that her mom had modeled and was going to New York, but she didn't know that it was through us. And it wasn't until years later that we met her.
Yeah. I think the cool thing, it's not cool that she passed away, but the cool thing is that she passed away on the way to her dream.
Yeah, he would always say that.
And it's even like with Todd, like he fulfilled like a major part of his life was to meet and,
I know.
you know, get advice and whatever from Ashton Kutcher.
That was like such a big thing to him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all those little things that you don't know. So long story short, we move here. Up until that time, we were still scouting in Iowa. We kept finding amazing models that were traveling. It was just happening at a pace. So we were a little nervous to come into a big city, but somebody told me a long time ago, and it's true, you take the tool belt with you. So I'm like, okay, we'll be okay.
Did Kutcher say that?
No, it does sound like a Kutcher. It was a guy that came to like fix something at the office. And I was like, you're right, you take the tool belt with you. So we move here, and June of 2001, we're like, oh, there's going to be a market here. We'll be able to book a little, like the whole thing. September 11th, 2001 happens. Again, there's a giant shift in the world, but also in the model world. Mm-hmm. It took a pretty heavy hit. And then we were in this lull where things felt like they weren't moving at all. During that time, we start this project called Model Truth, which was a DVD model training. We're going to set the world on fire, and we're going to teach everybody about the modeling world. And we're going to take money that we don't really have, and we're going to put this together, and we're going to sell it, and we're going to make so much money. And I remember when we moved here, we literally at that point were like, it's probably time to throw away how many DVDs did we make?
1,000? 3,000?
It was a lot.
I can't remember. But whatever the minimum was. But yeah. I mean, the thing about our lives is that it's always been about other people first. Mm-hmm. Like that's like everything that you've talked about.
And we can't resent that.
I know, I don't resent it. It's just, I get to a point sometimes I'm like, well, what about me? But at the same time, like I was reading this morning, and in my reading, it talked about living your life, but putting other people first. I'm like, dang it. But that's
the best way.
It is the best way. I mean, that's what we do.
It comes back to you one way or another. It might not immediately, or it might not in the way that you think, but it always does.
I mean, yeah, granted, when we did the Model Truth thing, we wanted to make money with that.
Yeah.
But it came out of like
a passion. It literally came, our intention was teach people about the industry, show them that they don't need to spend thousands and thousands of dollars on model conventions and schools and all these things. Like, yes, we do believe there should be some investment in getting good at what you do, but it shouldn't be out of proportion of what. So it was always the intention. Then you fast forward, I look to how all of our adult children have seen us be entrepreneurial. 3 of them have been entrepreneurial to one degree or another, and I'm sure that our 4th will eventually be. They saw us in the good, bad, and ugly of it, but they also see the reward of building something that's your own. But anytime it's just like a relationship or anything, there's going to be good times and hard times and everything in between, which leads us to, during that time, the kind of the next milestones that got us to different points. We got a phone call from our friend Jen Vendetti about a casting. Marc Jacobs was at Louis Vuitton. They were wanting an all-American Matt Dillon-like kid. So we get the call, and we were going to the mall anyway. We used to spend a lot of times in malls. We would just go to the mall. We would
have models meet us at the mall and change.
We would
change in the bathroom.
Call it our office.
They'd change in the bathroom and come out in a bikini.
Yeah, because there was a walkway, so the lighting was really good, so we could take pictures, and plus it was that's where teenagers would hang out. So we would just go to the mall because we would find people at the mall. But anyway, we are at St. Louis Galleria. I'm in the restroom. I come out and Jeff's like, Mary, run. You have to come see this kid because he had hurt his back or something. I can't remember.
My knee.
His knee. So I come running out to see this guy with his girlfriend. I remember he had a girlfriend when we went up to him, because sometimes that can be weird.
Yeah.
It's not always good reception. But anyway, we go up to this guy, Michael Hope is his name, and we're like, have you ever thought about being a model? That was the last thing that Michael Hope had ever thought about being. He was a baseball player.
Very good one.
A very good one. Raised by a great family. He had 2 brothers and a sister. His mom was just this amazing woman. Then we meet the dad, and they were just salt of the earth people. And long story short, he opens Louis Vuitton. He shoots Louis Vuitton over and over. I don't even know how many trips he went on. And the beautiful thing is, one of the trips ended up being that he took his mom and dad with him to Paris. And in the midst of all of it, they find out that his father has, I believe it was stage 4 cancer.
Stage 4.
It was very quick and aggressive cancer. And we end up being end up coordinating along with the community had kind of rallied around. And then we did the fashion show part and a model search part of a fundraising fashion show that raised $75,000 for his family. And in the midst of all of it, we hold a model search at West County Mall here, and we discover Karlie Kloss. I remember meeting her and her mom. She had I think a little denim skirt and a tank top and something. And they had these pictures from not glamour shots, but that kind of thing. It was like a place where you get photos in the mall, something like that. And when we used to do searches like this, they would walk on the runway.
Right.
And I remember her walking, and she just had an unusual way of walking, but it was cool. We were like, that's a cool walk. She was young. She was very young. 13, I think.
I think she was 13 and 5'6".
Yeah, she wasn't.
She wasn't very tall.
We kept thinking if she keeps growing, just her body frame and everything, we're like, that could be really cool. So we do the Threads for Hope fashion show. I don't know how long before his dad passed away, but it was another one of those times of just realizing, life is bigger than all of it. And it kind of catapulted things. Fast forward, it was probably a few years later, we continued to place models, and I was running an Arbonne business. I became a regional vice president in that, just to be able to pay the bills. And Jeff was at a crossroads where you were like, we have to do something else.
Yeah. I think being husband and a father and all that stuff, for society puts the pressure on the man for whatever reason. And
I think in that moment I was feeling like there's more that I can do, even though I believed in mother.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, having the ability mentally to say, okay, this doesn't take away from what we're trying to create and do, but knowing the reality of our life, like I got to get a job. So we were in that moment. I was preparing myself for that moment, and Karlie Kloss like happened.
Yeah, it was her. I remember you were really instrumental in staying on top of the communication because their family were going through some things and she wasn't really engaging a lot. We had placed her in Chicago with Elite because we had New York Elite, Chicago Elite, I think. Or maybe she was just in Chicago at that time. And so you were really pushing, I remember, to get things moving in Chicago so that she was doing something. And
yeah, I don't think that people realize that when you find a model and you place a model, and if the model's not working, we're not making money. So it's like,
yeah, like there's so many moving parts. And as being a strong mother agent, which is something we're going to talk about in the next episode, is just, I believe it's game changing for everybody involved. When it's done right.
It's done right. Yeah.
It's game changing for everyone. So anyway, things start to move forward. We get her moving in New York. She debuted at Calvin Klein spring, summer 2008. And at this point, models were young.
Yeah.
Models were...
I think she was 15 or 16.
I think she was 16.
Okay.
Which wasn't unusual during that time. So the spring, summer, then that next season, there were things that unfolded within family and other things. And the long story short, they wanted different representation. So we opened up conversations with a couple of different places, and we end up moving her to Next. And at that point, I remember everything changed like this. It was, Jeff, you need to get a passport. You're going to be traveling, because traveling, first of all, just from an age perspective, but also this business can be very tough and it can be very competitive. And so it was just key that you would be traveling with her. And
yeah, I mean, if you saw her, you saw me.
Yes. And that went on for about 4 years. It would be then, because at that point we still had kids in high school. So I'd be kind of back and forth in between. And then immediately after Karlie's big bang out season, we had another model, Katie Fogarty, immediately following. Both of them were doing 60 plus fashion shows a season from New York, London, Milan, Paris. And it was literally running from show to show. That time was crazy. And then we kept finding more. So things were elevated. That's when the Wall Street Journal came, then Nightline, then another Nightline. Then we found other people, then Entertainment Tonight. And then at the point where things were really growing, actually a lot of those other things came later, because it was after Karlie, that Entertainment Tonight and those. But in August of 2012, we just came back from celebrating our anniversary. I think it was our 10-year anniversary or something. I don't know.
It was our 10-year.
Okay. And I remember at that point, we were both starting to have a feeling that things were happening. And then we had friends in the industry going, her circle is changing. You might want to be aware of XYZ. So long story short, we kept saying, oh, that could never happen. That would never be. We've done so much. That would never happen. How could that possibly be? And then in August of 2012, we get the phone call, a very brief phone call. And then we get a 2-sentence FedEx package, and the long story short is it was done. And all I will say about that particular time is, for us, I'm only going to speak to for us, was devastating. I remember our kids were heartbroken for us, our friends and family. We received phone calls from agencies around the world because they had seen the way in which we navigated. I think that people were particularly upset about it. They knew that it could happen in our industry. It still does happen in our industry. But I think when you so obviously are running your business with your heart, it was a little.
Yeah, it was a little shattering, you know. And yeah, I mean, it almost took me out, you know, to be honest. But yeah, it was a special time.
It was.
But I learned a lot. We both learned a lot.
So much.
It did position our business to another level, because it's like you find Ashton Kutcher, and then 10 years later you find Karlie Kloss.
Yeah, it was literally 10 years later.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, like I think we know what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know? And then, you know, when you deal with situations, like we're in the people business, so it's hard when you give your all to someone and you do everything in your power to help that person reach levels that they didn't think was possible.
Yeah.
And then they turn to you and say, thank you for everything.
Right.
That's hard.
But I think it is. Everybody in watching this podcast, I'm sure, has had a relationship that ended up being that to one degree or another. Yeah. It's life. Like it is life. And the one thing I remember sitting on our front porch going, how will we ever get another model on a Vogue cover? How will we ever, like it seemed so far removed, even though we had other things that were happening.
Yeah. But I will say this, because we've said that a million times, and from my perspective where I'm sitting, and what I just got a glimpse of as you said that, look there. We had Vogue covers before Karlie.
We did have Vogue covers, and we've had many Vogue covers since.
Right.
But in that moment, when you're like let me feel sorry for myself for a little bit, like, you know, whatever. And, you know, look, we've had subsequent conversations with her.
But the coolest part is when all that devastation happened, that was a moment where we had to decide if we're going to keep doing this.
100%.
And
which is just like probably everybody, you have those moments, you have to make a decision.
Yeah.
Are you going to let frustration or fear stop you, or are you going to keep moving forward?
Right. And what I had to learn is not to bring old situations into new situations, you know, and just because
we're still having to learn.
Yeah, I still have to do it. And this is a wild business, and I'm sure every business is. This is our world.
I just think it's part of deciding in life if you're going to build a shield around yourself, or if you're going to live it with. Which, right after Karlie, when that all went down, we both decided we were going to get tattoos to remind ourselves that it's not about us or the person, it's being obedient in what we think we're supposed to do. So I have a servant's heart here, and he has a servant's heart on his neck. So it's a way of living.
Yeah.
Where it's, you know. So fast forward, then I remember that Fashion Week. So that happened in August. And then we went to Fashion Week in September. And that was so hard to go. And at that point, we had Grace Hartzel kind of ascending. We had Lauren Bigelow. We had models that were literally doing well. Katie was still doing her thing. And I remember we had planned on doing tribute. And with her. The first tribute was going to be a big part.
It was in celebration of her and her success, because you would always say, if this was a male athlete, then there would be a parade for all the things that they've accomplished.
It's true.
It was just very, very frustrating to us, because here
we developed this model that is achieving the world's greatest things, and no one's really talking about it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this thing is like, we'll show them, like, we're all going to celebrate you.
Yes. And then you had to make the decision of, are we going to keep going? And thank you, Kelly Hummert. Like, yes, we're going to still do it because she's not the only one. And we needed to celebrate everybody's.
Yeah. And I think at that time too, and I still say this, you know, not daily, but I still remind myself that mother is not about one model.
No.
It's a collective effort.
It's a community.
Yeah, it's a community.
For a long time, we were like, we're not going to say family because, you know, but it's very deeply rooted. And if you remember, I remember sitting in that cute hotel in Paris when they sent the invitation. Remember that first video invite of tribute?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Remember? I remember sitting in this cute little quaint hotel. I loved that place. They had like feather lights. It was so cute. And we're having our little breakfast and the video comes through with the invite. And it was highlighting and showcasing Grace and Lauren and Katie and all these models that were doing great things. And it was that instant reminder, no, this is about everybody. Mm-hmm. And so we did tribute. We continue to have our models do very well. More milestones were happening. The next kind of evolution came. We had a model, Alanna Arrington, who's from Iowa, who we were in this, continuing the momentum. She did really big things, opened big shows, and then it just kept happening. It was kind of an ongoing thing, and we were on a great roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then COVID happened.
Then
COVID happened, and we make a living with models traveling, and just like everybody, we're not the only one that was the whole world was impacted, but we were definitely impacted. I would say that during COVID, that's when we worked on Model U. I think that I remember sitting and staring at this wall of covers and campaigns and going, is that ever going to happen again? Did we just pour 25 years or however many years it was at that point into something that is going to exist anymore? And from that, I know that what we've done is refined and understood a framework of the body of work that we have done and put it into something that we can teach and share, because we've seen the transformation in people. We've seen the success that comes from it, the reward. I mean, on Sunday we did an open call and we had one of our great new girls, Delaney, was in here. And I think this kind of summarizes everything. She was here. We needed to get some video of her for a potential job. And our intern wasn't feeling well. And so she said, I'll stay and help with the open call, and just her engaging with everybody. But right before we were talking, and she was like, it was a year ago I came here for the first time, which I couldn't even believe that it was a year, because it seems like she's been with us longer, because she's become just part of the culture of what it is to be a part of Mother. And watching her engage with everybody, and she has this cute little kind of accent, kind of this Missouri, I don't know how to even describe what it is, but it's
country ghetto.
she'll literally go, I was so ghetto before. Like, I love her telling her story about when she first came in here with her press on nails and her tweezed brows and her really long hair. But there was this something about her. There was like this energy about her and a light in her eyes and a desire to be more. And then when we learned about her story and her life experience, and she's experienced loss, and it hasn't been an easy road, and yet her attitude is so great. And her saying, kind of sharing a little bit about that. And I said to her, where do you think that you would be if you didn't come in here a year ago. And she literally looked at us and said, I don't even want to think about that, because it's been so significant, the transformation and the coming into herself and celebrating who she is and becoming the best version of herself. It's those moments where, like, it's not about the money or the big feathers in the cap and all the things. That's what it's really about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's cool to be in a business. I guess it's a business model. I don't really know.
It is.
That
it's a business model of the model business. So good.
That it can, that our lives can impact their lives, whether or not they go on to model. Like it is the process.
It is.
And what you discover about yourself in the process, you know, because not everyone can be a model, but everyone can improve their life, you know?
Or it can lead them to something else, just like it did you.
Yeah. And it still
is.
Yeah. Like never in a million years did I think I would be sitting talking with a camera looking there at me.
I'm just telling you guys, like, for real, the great thing, you know, in some ways we're opposites, but then there's so much that just the core.
We're more opposite than we're alike.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that we're alike is having a servant's heart. So that just overtakes everything.
True.
And then it makes us alike.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Something like that.
So our goal with this podcast is to share the model business in a different light, share the way that we've done it, what we believe can make this industry better. We love people that work behind the scenes in the model world. We do. I love agents and creatives, and the backstage part has just been the most wonderful.
Yeah, it's a whole other world.
It's backstage. Literally a whole other world. I would always say it feels like a traveling circus of fashion people. Like I love it so much. And it's fun to see models find their people, and it's just super rewarding. So we want to do that. The more I kind of laid out all the stories that we have to share, 3 decades is a long time. So there's a lot to share, and interviews with our models, conversations with models, behind the scenes people. Like, we really want to bring that to light, because we feel like everybody has a lot to learn and will be really inspired by all of it. So I think we're supposed to say hit subscribe.
Subscribe, like, share.
We're so not.
Do all those things.
Do all the things.
And it's funny. The other funny thing is I have this notebook, and all it says is the model business by Mother.
Yeah.
That's my contribution there.
Yeah.
And then Mary has her notes, but this has been fun, guys.
It has been fun. Okay, give me a kiss. We did it.
Yes. Thank you.
Oh.
I wonder if that recorded.
I know. Did it? Watch you go. I forgot to hit record.